how did you find out about Yield School?
Uh, I think it was a Instagram ad, then Google search. Yeah, Instagram ad, Google search, and I was like, "Huh, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about." I think you reeled me in with the primary market versus getting onto a centralized exchange and actually being able to buy cryptocurrency yourself before it gets on a centralized exchange and really start to see profits and see those gains, those 10x gains. I did a little bit of research on that, and I was like, "Oh shit, he's right. That is 100% correct. That is definitely what happens." Real question is, how do you spot those assets before they get on the centralized exchange, so you can at least get that initial gain, and then kind of ride them onto the long haul. And you were also speaking towards things such as being a long-term investor and not having to move as fast as these markets move, because these markets move extremely fast. And unless this is your full day job, you day trading, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. And even if it is your day job, you still might lose just because it operates so quickly. It doesn't operate with the same macroeconomic rules. Like, for example, everyone has perfect information and the markets are perfectly succinct and everyone takes action upon that perfect information. Is actually the inverse. You have some people with really, really good information and some people that have no information. You have a lot of people that don't care. And you have a lot of people that are just being told what to do by influencers who are being paid to drive user adoption in a certain direction, whether it is the right asset or not. So it's a lot of different things going on where it's best to look at each investment opportunity and really understand the competitive advantage, which is why I love what you guys do on the DeFi Fridays. And you kind of start with your breakdown of what is this company, what's the problem that they're trying to solve, how can they create a competitive advantage, is it sustainable before we even do a deeper dive, because that's how you should be looking at it if you're thinking about long term. And I'm a long term person as well, and I just don't also have the time to kind of trade on these markets frequently. So I think that got me, and it was from Instagram, and it was kind of that message that you displayed.
Gotcha. So I think you kind of talked about this, but why were you interested in joining Yield School?
You seem knowledgeable. Most people seem like they're just trying to tell you what to do or give you a little bit of advice or drive hype. Like, I'm a critical thinker. I like to ask the hard questions so that way I can really understand what I'm doing and why am I doing it. And you guys have those answers. You were providing them in the advertisement. It was just like, kind of, you would say a fact and then you would give me the data and the facts behind it, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. Most people don't lay out the information that way. It's not, hey, this is what's happening. Here's the data that supports it. Here's how you can take advantage. I think that is the right layout of this type of information, enough to gain interest and want people to learn more. What got me?
Gotcha. What was the biggest problem you were having before joining Yield School?
Um, I would say paralysis of analysis. There's just so much information, so many things going on in this space between the NFTs, actual cryptocurrencies. Um, it was kind of hard to learn where to jump into, because you do have a lot of the noise with the influencers. So you can try to follow the influencers thinking that they're being honest and forthright, but a lot of times they're being paid. So they're kind of influencing you to do a certain thing that may not be in your best interest. And you spend a lot of time, or at least I spent a lot of time, going in the wrong direction, trying to understand this space and learn the layout of this space. So I spent a lot of my own money, lost some money, gained a little bit of money, but more so lost money. And it's because I didn't have any direction and guidance. So I think the most valuable part for me was just having, and the problem that I was having with, Web3, was I didn't have guidance. And this is such a new area. I also didn't have the time to really learn it all on my own without taking a ton of bumps and bruises. So, like, for your information, so for your reference, I jumped into the crypto space year and a half ago, December of 2022, kind of when the NFT hype was going crazy. I wanted to understand what was going on with the community, those types of users. I thought the user behavior behind what was happening in Web3 and NFTs was fascinating. So I jumped in from that aspect, and I spent a ton of my own money to just learn what was going on firsthand, because there was no real guided tutelage of what was happening in this space. So it was a lot of wasted time and I shouldn't say wasted time and a lot of wasted effort, but it was learning the hard way, with taking my bumps.
Oh, Bobby, we just lost your.
But
We
then
just lost. Sorry, Bobby, we just lost your audio, but I think we're back now.
um,
Okay, we got your audio, but just know.
so that's a big one. And like I was just I was having, and the information that I was necessarily learning wasn't a holistic overview of what was happening in the cryptocurrency space, which NFTs was just a use case for cryptocurrency as a technology, or sorry, blockchain as a technology. I was focused on the use case, and I was trying to back into the foundational technology, how the layers work from that use case, but I wasn't successful. And it wasn't until I took the yield school courses where you guys actually broke it down, where I was actually able to have like kind of my aha moment. And I was like, oh, this is what's happening. This is where the real value is. This is how layer ones work. This is how layer twos work. And you're essentially rebuilding the internet, and DeFi is the first really, really big use case that's trying to prove this out in a decentralized fashion. Got it. Okay. And so I think that was my biggest problem and pain point, and I didn't understand that until I saw your ad, and then I started going through the course and the materials.
Yeah, how did the materials and what we do, how did that help you solve the problem?
So the material one, it taught me how to onboard into the market and do it safely. Uh, it gave me more confidence in what I was doing instead of kind of taking a leap of faith and hoping that I'm doing what I'm doing. Try to read an article and I'm like, okay, this is how it works, or listen to some guy on a Reddit thread or YouTuber, and I started to not trust them. I didn't know who to trust because I felt like I was being marketed and influenced, not taught. So I was trying it on my own. So I didn't have the confidence to do some of these things. And whenever something seemed a little foreign or too confusing, or like it might have been uh, fraudulent, I stayed away from it. But it seemed fraudulent to me because of the bad UX sometimes. So it's just like, but now that I understand, hey, a lot of these guys are building, they're more so focused on the technology, not the user experience of it, making sure that things work. And then the UX is going to come last for them versus like what I do as a product manager. I know that the UX has to be good first, or else no one's going to use my technology. So it's kind of the inverse here, and I have to change my way of thinking.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective you have. For a lot of people, they're coming into this very casually, or maybe not with a mindset that they can compare it back to the way that they run their job or run their life. You've got this very specialized experience as a product manager, and so you do come in with a lot of context, and you do have to think about things like frames of reference and how like you do come in with like an existing way of thinking about how like a solution will fit a market and the success or failure of that. So I think you come into this with like um, I think that's why you're in part why you're an active member, which we love, and why we love you, because like you do come in with like proactive thought. You do go a little bit deeper, or sometimes a lot deeper with your thought, and why your contributions when you speak up are substantial, and like, they do help discussion. So yeah, I do want to thank you for that.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you guys for having good answers because these are questions that I've had for a while. I like find the answer. I don't know where to go, and now I have this source of you guys, and I'm able to leverage it. I'm like, okay, I know someone there will know, or at least we're able to talk through it together, and maybe we'll all get the answer. So I love having a community of people where I can ask those really hard questions and get the answers.
Yeah, has the support been helpful in the
It's
membership?
been it's been really helpful actually because I've never usually I didn't have anywhere to go. I had these hard questions because a lot of my friends don't know what I'm talking about. So usually I'm the knowledge source. I'm the most knowledge person when it comes to this, and they're not. They're intelligent people. They're all educated, but it's just not in crypto. And once again, some of them too are in finance, and a lot of us used to be previously in finance or consulting. So we think about it with the information that we have. So call it book smarts, macroeconomics, technology. Uh, but this is different. And like I said, you have to change your way of thinking. It's a lot of, I hate saying it, but it's a lot of dumb money. It's a lot of naive money. It's also a lot of engineers. And if you worked with engineers before, they like to build cool things first, figure everything else out later. And that is very backwards for people who are formally taught about how these things should work and should be done. Um, and then it doesn't, you don't know until you start doing it. A lot of this with cryptocurrency and blockchain, you have to actually get into it, not get your feet wet, but you have to go swim with the sharks, figure some things out, spend a little bit of money, um, and learn, and hopefully find a community that can help you learn. And so I really thank you guys, because the community is the best part. Somebody's always there to answer a question, even if it's a hard question. I love how you guys are like, ooh, great question. Let's go do some research together on this, because I don't know like the answer. I think we can go here and we just all start figuring out together. And I love kind of how you can tell we're all like Googling different things, or going to doing analytics, going here and trying to figure out if we can find the answer to this thing. Because everyone's like, oh yeah, that is a good question. And you can know if that answer does provide additional value and help us make decisions. So like, let's go get the answer. So yeah, I love the community, man. Love the community and how proactive you guys are, and or to reactive you guys are to making sure the members are educated. Which kind of leads me to one of my thoughts and about what yield school could be. Because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I would love for you guys to take that next step in actually educating your members, because I could see yield school as becoming this true like knowledge source, almost like cultivating really influential and knowledgeable people in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space that could almost act as if, I don't want to say traders, but almost like investment research analysts that are always looking at the market, looking at different opportunities, and kind of evaluating them through similar lenses. I don't want to say the same lens, but like almost like a similar mindset, evaluation mindset. And we're bringing really great projects to the group and to everyone as a collective, instead of you guys just bringing them. Because I could easily see us becoming a true knowledge hub in that fashion, where everyone's contributing. Um, and that's where I would love to get, like, because diversity of thought is a beautiful thing, man, especially because people think about things differently. But if we're all operating with kind of a similar valuation structure in the back of our head, I feel like we could start aggregating some really cool information, find some really cool projects. Um, and so, it's, you have to find people that think deeply about this and critically about this to kind of take that next step. It's almost like graduating from, I feel like you guys gave us like a middle school, high school level education on what's going on.
Mm.
It's like, how do I go to college with this? How do I really start to understand? Like, if I want to put myself in the shoes of an angel investor or a venture capitalist in this space, I want to have that type of lens.
Successes since you've joined up with Yield School, and could you share those successes? Whether that's
Uh,
like doing well in an asset or just like an aha moment.
um, let's think. That's a good question. I would say my successes with yield school was, I always had I've never really had a true structured look on my portfolio and an investment thesis as far as the things I would invest in, what I wouldn't invest in, and getting strict with my rule set for assets that I jump into. How do I jump into them? At what point am I comfortable enough to jump in? So now, for example, my aha moment. So I learned a lot, and I was able to put together an actual structure for my portfolio, look at everything holistically, what I was investing in, where I was invested at, if I was more degen, if I was conservative, if I was balanced. I'm like this hybrid between the balance and the degen, because I do like oracles, I like layer twos, I like things that are building off the existing blockchains. I also like the risky assets, but I'm starting to just now that I have my investment criteria as well, I know now I'm always going to do my research first. I'm going to go through, I'm going to look at the team, I'm going to look at what the competitive advantage is. I'm going to go get a sentiment analysis on what's going on in Twitter, uh, try to find any other information I can that's relevant. And then I'm going to sit down, I'm going to think about this. And now I'm starting to even get to a point where I want to I'm creating SWOT analysis on each of the opportunities because I want to understand what the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are, and who the competitors are. And I want to create like a comparable set, almost like you would do valuation. That way I can say, okay, these 6 crypto projects are very similar. These are their market cap. This is what their price is. If I am going to invest in this, call it altcoin that is a smaller low cap, this is potentially what it could look like if it was to take off and skyrocket. And here are some of the threats to it getting to this space. Am I okay with taking this risk? Yes. All right, let's invest. And then I'll figure out what percentage of my crypto portfolio I want to allocate. But now that was my aha moment to it's becoming systematic for me. And I'm able to figure out more information or find new places where I want to dig in and learn a little bit more and be guided in my investment thesis and how I kind of curate my portfolio. And so I think that was my aha moment. That was my big success. And also now that I've been in the market a little bit, and I know how to read it. Like for example, we were in a dip about a month ago. And during that dip, I was like, okay, this is a good time. Let's reallocate the portfolio. Let's reset. Let's kind of make sure I'm investing in the spaces that I want to be invested in. Love oracles. Let's get a few of those. And I've been seeing about a 20% increase in my portfolio over the last few weeks since I've been structured properly.
Nice.
And now I'm also structured in a place where too I'm like, okay, I know how to quickly look at things, like kind of quickly check on things and see. That was my aha moment, man. It's just kind of taking all the information and really figuring out how to apply it.
Perfect. That is 100% correct frame of mind for that, actually. Yeah. You're a limited person, you have limited resource. And even if we think something is good, and it might be good, it still has to fit within the resources you have as an individual to make investing decisions. And if you've just got a wallop of research and understanding on things that are not layer zero, like cross-chain messaging protocols, then maybe like Frank and the guys are right, but like I still have to be responsible for my own investments, and that might be better handled with other assets. So that's the completely the correct way to think. I just got 3 very like quick questions for you, and then I thought this would be like 15 minutes, and we're going on a lot longer. So I thank you.
No problem. I love having this conversation. This is a really good conversation. So don't worry about it, man. I'll make time.
Cool. Would you recommend Yield School?
Actually, I would recommend you. Yeah, it's like I would have to explain it to them in a really good fashion and make them interested and want to get the information so that way they can get the gains. But it's also hard because I'm like, hey, you have to really like dig in and learn this information so you can get the gains. Like you're not just gonna it's not they're not just gonna happen. You have to put in a lot of work.
What if it was a guy who had like he was considering moving like 400,000, 500,000 into the market, and he doesn't have anyone else to talk to? In that scenario, would you recommend Yield School?
Oh, in that situation, if he had also the time to do it himself, yes, I would 100% recommend Yield School. I'm like, if you're gonna move around that big of an asset pool or assets under management, and you're gonna manage it yourself, yes, 100%, I would recommend Yield School. And you have the time to sit down and go learn this yourself, yes, 100%.